Anatoly Moskvin was, by most accounts, a genius. A historian fluent in 13 languages, the author of numerous academic papers, described by colleagues and family as quiet, awkward, but harmless. In late 2011, a police search connected to an unrelated case exposed one of the most disturbing crimes in modern Russian history. Moskvin was born in 1966 in Nizhny Novgorod. By his own account, his childhood was marked by early trauma and increasing social isolation. At just 13, he described being pulled into a strange ritual by a group of mourners on his way home from school, forced to kiss the corpse of an 11-year-old girl at her funeral, and given a wedding ring by the girl's mother in what he called his strange marriage. In the years that followed, Moskvin developed vivid, recurring dreams about the girl, which he interpreted as visitations. His parents, concerned but not alarmed, took him to a doctor, who attributed the episodes to puberty and prescribed a mild sedative. That early experience shaped the rest of his life. Moskvin went on to study Celtic culture at university, joined a group associated with occult and Luciferian beliefs, and developed what he described as extensive expertise in the region's cemeteries, eventually claiming to have visited over 750 of them as part of a self-directed research project meant to culminate in a book on local cemetery history. Starting around 2009, residents in the area began reporting that graves, many belonging to children, had been disturbed or vandalized. A 2-year investigation into the vandalism went nowhere. It wasn't until 2011, when police investigating a separate case involving desecrated grave sites near an airport, that they crossed paths with Moskvin directly, catching him in the act of painting over gravestones. He was arrested on the spot, and investigators, expecting to find evidence tying him to extremist activity, searched the apartment he shared with his parents. What they found instead were 29 life-sized figures, dressed in old-fashioned clothing, arranged throughout the apartment. At first glance, they looked like elaborate dolls. They were the mummified remains of girls between the ages of 3 and 12, exhumed from local graves. Moskvin had dressed them in the clothing they were buried in, reinforced their bodies with rags and tights to preserve their shape, applied makeup, and placed buttons in their eye sockets. Investigators also found that several of the bodies had music boxes concealed inside them, designed to produce sound when moved. Moskvin later told investigators he tracked their birthdays and celebrated them, and that he'd fitted them with the buttons so they could watch cartoons with him. Some of the remains he described as ones he had grown fond of, others, he said, he simply didn't like and had left in the garage. His parents told reporters they'd noticed the figures and an ongoing smell in the apartment, but assumed it was a hobby or a plumbing issue in the building. One mother, Natalia Chardamova, later learned that the grave she had been visiting for years, believing her murdered 10-year-old daughter Olga to be inside, had been empty the entire time. Moskvin was ultimately charged with 44 counts of grave desecration. He confessed and was diagnosed with schizophrenia, then committed to a psychiatric facility. Reports later emerged that he was beaten by staff and kept sedated on a heavy daily dose of medication. A human rights lawyer intervened on his behalf, arguing for his transfer and re-evaluation, and in 2018, he was granted permission to continue treatment at home, a decision that drew fierce criticism from the families of his victims, who feared what he might still be capable of. Anatoly Moskvin's crimes remain one of the most disturbing cases of their kind on record, not because of any single violent act, but because of just how long it went unnoticed by the people closest to him.